Hello everybody, welcome back to Transcending Together. It's me, Alec John Bell, and I'm here today to do a Amazon haul. So here's the thing. I filmed one for November, but it didn't get to be uploaded for reasons that I don't really want to talk about. So I'm sorry that you don't get to see the November haul that I filmed, but I'm really excited to be filming today's December haul video with you. I have a lot of good stuff here. This is a spiritual haul. For those who don't know, I'm a Christian witch, but this is a spiritual channel, so it's a place for all people. I have lots of different kinds of books and stuff here today, so I'm just really excited to share the things that I got with you. Now, before people come for me, okay, there is a lot of stuff in this haul. And my hauls that I'm going to start doing every single month are probably not going to be this big every single month. The reason why this haul was so big was because I got a check from school. And so I had some additional money that I was able to use to put toward spiritual stuff that I had left over from, buying my textbooks and groceries and things that I needed. So I had some money left over that I was able to spend on some spiritual stuff. So anyway, let's just get right into this video. So the first thing that I want to talk about is the Seasons of the Witch Yule Oracle deck. So I also have the Samhain Oracle deck, and I really like that deck, even though I've only used it probably 2 times. I was gonna use it during Halloween, and I ended up going out with friends on Halloween, so I ended up not using it. And then this one I bought to use on Christmas, and I think I did use it on Christmas Eve, but I didn't actually end up using it on Christmas. But this is a great Oracle deck. I love it. It's wonderful. As a Christian witch, I get a lot of enjoyment out of it. I think it's fun. I think it's really useful. The one reading that I did do with this deck was really what's the word that I'm looking for? It was really accurate, and it was really great. Hey, you! What are you doing? My cat is over there doing weird stuff. Anyway. So the next deck that I have is the Gateway of Light Activation by Kyle Gray. Yeah, by Kyle Gray. And this deck is really awesome. I've only used it a handful of times. For those who don't know me, I have a lot of decks. I have about 50, give or take. So I have ones that are my favorites, and then I have new ones that I buy to try, and then I kind of end up sticking with my favorites anyway. But this is a really good deck. I really like it. It's really powerful. There's a lot of good energy in this deck. I have a couple other Kyle Gray decks. He's really great. He's really fantastic. It's just, this deck is really good. I'm happy that I was able to get my hands on it. I definitely recommend this one. So the next deck that we have is the Seed and Sickle Oracle deck, and this one is really good too. It's really unique because it actually has 2 different books that you can read from. It has the Dawn book and the Dusk book, and each book has different interpretations of the cards. The cards are beautiful. The only problem that I kind of have is that some of the card meanings are a little vague and not very specific. So I like when they're a little bit more specific. These are a little bit more vague and can be applied to a lot of different situations, which I guess is a good thing. The cards are also really small, which I don't really know if I like. I kind of like it on the one hand, and then on the other hand, I don't really like it. So, gotta take what you can. But this is a really good deck. I enjoy it. I've used it multiple times. I've actually used it more than the other 2 decks, and I actually just got this one more recently than the other 2 decks. So that goes to show that I really do like this deck despite my critiques. So I highly recommend this one. So now we're getting into the books. I have a lot of them. So I'm gonna try to go through these quickly so this isn't like a half an hour long video. So the first book that we have is Light Magic for Dark Times. And let me just say, I love this book. And I did not expect to love this book as much as I do. I saw another YouTuber recommend this book and I was like, oh, that book sounds really good. Light Magic for Dark Times. That sounds like something I'd be really into. Oh my gosh. This is my favorite spell book. It's not even really like spells, they're like rituals, and they're just so positive and so uplifting. Literally everything in here is just so positive. It's so spiritual and so, I absolutely love it. Like my favorite one, where is it? Oh, I opened right to it. My favorite ritual in here is a self-love ritual for tapping into your body after a long day. And you basically light this red candle and you rub lotion mixed with cinnamon onto your body, and then you say this little spell, and it just, oh, it's such a good book. I love this so much. I highly recommend this to every single witch, and even if you're not a witch, there's a lot of really good stuff in here that I think that people can get a lot of benefit from. It's not religious based, so it's go away. My cat again. It's not very religious based, so it's so beautiful. I love it. I love it so much. So next we have a book that I have not actually gotten a chance to read yet, which is Rune Reading Your Life. Sorry, I can't read the screen backwards. So we have Rune Reading Your Life, which is basically, it's like a journal that you use to figure out how to learn to read runes. And I have runes, and I really want to learn how to read runes. I've had this book for about a month now, and I haven't had the opportunity to get into it, unfortunately, which really sucks because this is right up my alley. I love divination, and I love just, I love the concept of runes, and I want to learn more about them. So I can't necessarily recommend this book because I haven't read it yet, but what I've seen as I've flipped through it, it definitely seems like a great book for somebody learning how to read runes. Next, we have The Complete Guide to Chakras, Vintage Edition. So I love Chakras. I've been working with them a little bit for about 4 years now. And yeah, I just want to learn more. I have several chakra books, and yeah, I just want to learn more about them. And the pages in here are beautiful. So like I said, this is the vintage edition. So it's very pretty pages. Just beautiful, beautiful stuff. Love it. Haven't read it yet, but I can't wait to get into it. It seems like it'll be a pretty quick read. Next, we have Jesus and the Lost Goddess. So this is kind of like my controversial book of my video. This is basically a book talking about how the story of Jesus is rooted in pagan traditions and stuff. I haven't read this book yet, but I'm really excited to read it because I love Jesus. I love the story of Jesus. He's one of my spirit guides. Mother Mary's one of my spirit guides. But I'm always up for a little, something to shake up my life and shake up what I believe. So, I'm interested in reading this, but I haven't gotten the opportunity to yet. So this is on my list. And then I have a book of Pagan Prayer, which is by somebody's name that I'm not going to be able to pronounce. I actually don't like this book as much as I thought I was going to. I thought it was going to be a little bit more rooted in prayer to Gaia and Mother Earth, but it actually is a lot more about other gods and goddesses. ones that I don't actually incorporate into my life. So this is not a favorite book of mine. I haven't read it, but I flipped through it and I realized that it wasn't for me. So unfortunately, this is not one of my favorites on this list, but I did buy it. And I do recommend it if you're pagan, and you do worship other gods and goddesses, because, this is probably right up your alley. And then we also have another pagan book, which is To Walk a Pagan Path by Alaric Albertson. And I haven't read this book yet, but I'm really interested because I want to learn more about paganism. Being a Christian witch, I just think learning about paganism is really interesting. So I just want to learn more about it. So this is on my to-read list. And then we have a book that was actually a gift, a Christmas gift. This is Paul by N.T. Wright. My aunt asked me what I wanted for Christmas, and I said, well, there's this $30 book called Paul about the writer Paul from the Bible, and I really want to read it, but the book is $30 and it's really expensive. Do you want to buy it for me? And she bought it for me. So I haven't read this yet, but Paul is a very interesting, person from the Bible, and I think that he had a lot of good things to say, and he also had a lot of really shitty things to say. So I'm really curious to learn more about him and, who he was and what he had to offer to the Christian world. And then we have a book that I'm currently in the middle of reading, which is Shaman, Healer, Sage by Alberto Villoldo. This is a really good book. I actually want to do a podcast episode on this. If you're watching this video, I have a podcast, which is also on this channel. The first episode is live now, and the second episode is going up on January 16th. And I want to do a podcast episode talking about shamanism and what I've learned from reading this book and some other books as well. I just think shamanism is really interesting, and this has been a really fun experience reading this book. I think the author has a lot of really interesting things to say and really important things to say. Yeah. Oh, and also my podcast is available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts as well. It's called Transcending Together, just like this YouTube channel. Shameless plug. Anyway, we're down to the last three things. So the last three things are Walking with Mary. Read this book. This is by Edward Sri. My second episode of my podcast is going to be talking about this book. And this was a really, really interesting book. It talks about Mother Mary from a Catholic perspective. Even though he kind of tries to pose it from like a neutral perspective, it is pretty much from a Catholic perspective. It was a really good book. There were some things in this book that pissed me off that I talked about in the podcast that's going up on January 16th. But yeah, it was a pretty good book despite my couple of complaints that I had. I highly recommend this book for people who want to learn more about Mother Mary. And then we also, the second to last thing is 1001 Spells, which is by Cassandra Eason. This is a really good book. It has a lot of good spells, a lot of good stuff. I'm going to say what somebody else said in a different video, which is that the spells in here are really good. The only thing is that it doesn't really explain why you have to do certain things. So, for example, if it tells you to do something on a Monday, it doesn't tell you why you have to do it on a Monday. And if you're a new witch like me, it doesn't really make sense to you. So you're like, why do I have to do this on a Monday? Like, it doesn't tell you why you have to do it on that specific day. There's no really explanation or in-depth details of why you have to do things the specific way that you're doing it, which I think doesn't really help newbies at all. But I think this is still a great book overall. Highly recommend it. And then the last thing, which I love, is the sequel to 1001 Spells, which is 1001 Tarot Spreads. And as you can see, I have a bookmark because I did a tarot spread the other night. And this is also by Cassandra Eason. And this is really great as well, has lots of great tarot spreads. Again, it kind of has the same issue that 1001 Spells does, is it'll tell you like, oh, only use the 22 major arcana cards, but it doesn't tell you why you're doing that. So, you know, you kind of just have to take what you can with this. But this is still a really good book, and I really recommend it. I recommend both of those books. They're really awesome. So anyway, that brings us to the end of the video. I am so happy to have been able to share everything that I bought with you this month. Have you read any of these books that I talked about? Have you bought any of these oracle decks that I bought? Definitely let me know. Please give this video a thumbs up if you like it, and subscribe to this channel. Check out my podcast. Join the family. I'm planning on growing this channel so much in the new year, and I hope that you become a part of what I'm trying to do in the new year. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.